Now, your tour of duty in Taiwan can be a pretty wonderful experience if you'll take the time to go out and meet the Chinese people. Learn a little bit about their background, their problems, and their traditions. Now, the Chinese may be a little different from us in many ways, their history, their culture, their outlook on many things, but in one thing, we have a lot in common. We both love freedom. I think you're going to be impressed by the personal freedom you'll find here, the political freedom, the freedom of the press, and the freedom of religion. Quite the opposite to what exists on the communist-held mainland. Now, your pocket guide to Taiwan can be a big help to you. Of course, it isn't the same as going out and meeting the people, but it does give you a pretty good idea about them, about the land, about the scenic spots, and about the history of the country. It also contains a chapter on your job in Taiwan. Taiwan is an island off the coast of mainland China, about the size of Vermont and Connecticut combined. It has a range of high mountains running the length of the island. The climate varies from tropical in the south to semi-tropical in the north. Portuguese sailors named it Ilha Formosa, beautiful island. But the island people prefer the name Taiwan, which means terraced bay. The face of this land presents a portrait of many moods, of varied shape and hue, of rice paddies, cool and verdant, of modern industry and gleaming steel, of a people in a race with destiny, of the afterglow from a day spent harvesting the sea, of the good earth whose bountiful goods are brought forth by the toil of hard-working people. The faces of its people reveal a spirit unbroken by adversity, of hope, of determination, of confidence, of wisdom, of dignity, of insight, of courage, of congeniality. This friendly, cordial relationship has existed between the Chinese and American governments for a long time. But governments are one thing. Your relations with the people are something very personal. Remember, we are not part of an occupation force. We are here as guests of the Chinese government. Since the Korean War, the United States has extended both economic and military aid to the Free Chinese to keep the island from falling into communists' hands. But no matter what agreements are made at a high level by our government and the Chinese government, each one of you can destroy or improve those agreements by your personal contacts with the Chinese people you meet, both on and off duty. And of course, you can learn more about Taiwan and meet more of its people through your Chinese friends. There's much to do and a surprising variety of things to discover here. There are standard rates for taxicabs, but when you ride a pedicab, you're supposed to establish the price before you start. It's a great way to see the sights since traffic moves more slowly than you may be used to at home. It does get a bit congested at times. If you plan to drive, a point to bear in mind is that you may be liable to both the Chinese police and our own service police. And another thing, don't let the split skirt fool you. It's the height of fashion and not an invitation for a pass. Nice girls here are just like those at home. And if you want to be smart and stay out of trouble, behave yourself. But it's not difficult to meet the nice ones. You usually do that through one of your Chinese friends. In the shops, you'll find plenty of things that are fun to buy. And of course, you must learn the old Chinese custom of bargaining. As a matter of fact, the merchant will probably be disappointed if you don't play the game. When you do try to fit in, when you do try to respect their way of life, you soon find that you are making friends and they're charming people. But you have to make a real effort to understand them, to discover what pleases them, what displeases them. And you know something? It's fun learning about the Chinese and their customs. Now, naturally, you have to be careful about some of the foods on display, but the medical department keeps us posted on what we should avoid and how to prepare the foods we do bring home. If we just treat each other with common respect and courtesy, our person-to-person problems will disappear in a hurry. Free China and America need each other, and each one of us is an important connecting link between our two countries. Actually, keeping up a home in Taiwan isn't much different than back in the States. Oh, there may be some inconveniences, but not many. The rents are fairly reasonable, and everyone is able to afford servants. Servants are wonderful as long as you treat them properly. You find out early that you can't stand over them and expect to get the job done. You just tell them what you want and let them go ahead. They take a real interest in you and your home and feel that if they make mistakes, they lose face. That's why you have to be so very careful about correcting them if a mistake is made. Now, the best thing to do is to suggest that you didn't explain what you wanted clearly enough in the first place. You might say that face is a matter of personal dignity or self-respect. The Chinese are a very proud people. Well, so are we as far as that goes. No one enjoys being made to look bad in front of other people. And for the kids, there are also many things to do. There is no language barrier on a playground. There are many Christian churches here, besides the chapels on the various bases. Christian missionaries and aid groups have done a great deal of welfare work in establishing schools and orphanages and helping in many other ways. However, most Chinese follow their older religions and philosophies. The main ones are Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. The Chinese may have a blend of beliefs that include all of these. Confucianism is more a kind of philosophy than a religion, although a basic idea is like our golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The Chinese may have many gods, including those representing the forces of nature or special household gods. Now, these figures on the roof were designed to ward off cavorting evil spirits and protect the honor of ancestral altars. Today, however, the emphasis is on growing generations. Little people are as important as big people, and school teachers are among the highest paid public servants. The Chinese have always had a high respect for teachers and scholars, for they know the value of education in the nation's future. In schools and universities, the leaders of tomorrow are being trained for the time when they will be heading up the industries, the government, and the professions. Many university students look forward to continuing their studies in America, as many leading Chinese have already done. That's quite a compliment to us. If we're smart, we'll keep trying to deserve it. The wonderful thing about this entire build-up is that people are still the most important consideration. Free China and America both cooperating in preserving the rights of the individual. Health programs and centers are a good example of this cooperative effort. The Joint Commission on Rural Reconstruction has worked with local communities to set up hundreds of modern health centers and stations. Disease has been reduced, and all the people are getting better medical care than they ever had before. And it's no surprise that the human reaction is just the same here as it is at home. You see, it didn't hurt a bit. Half of the people live on farms in small, sturdy homes, usually brick or concrete block with tile roofs. Several generations of the family may share the same home and courtyard. The Chinese love their families. They feel responsible for the welfare of all members of the family. In America, after a fellow and a girl shake the rice and confetti out of their hair, they start looking around for a track home of their own. But here, the bridegroom usually builds another room on the family home and moves in with his bride. However, the oldest male is still head of the family, and responsibility to parents comes ahead of responsibility to a man's wife or children. And it seems to work out just fine. Not all aspects of farm life rest on tradition, however. Today, things have changed. Hard work, good administration, aid from various agencies of the United States Economic Mission and other overseas groups have brought about a small miracle. Irrigation dams, dikes, and ditches have made more land available for cultivation. Farmers are increasing their crops with better farming methods, chemical fertilizers, pest control, and modern equipment. American agricultural experts work directly with the people, doing a vital job that reflects results in the everyday living of our Chinese friends. Now there is food, enough for all, and products to export. While farms have improved and crops have increased, the Chinese haven't neglected the harvest of the sea. The fishing fleet, which was almost destroyed, now covers the coastal waters, returning with increasing catches of marine life. Now, one of the biggest problems at the end of World War II was the lack of power to rebuild the island's industries. But abundant power was there in the flowing waters of the mountain streams. With American financial help, the professional advice of our engineers, the power is being corralled behind barriers of steel and concrete. Webs of transmission lines carry light and energy to homes and industry. With power to spare, industry has been rebuilt. New industries have been developed. Jobs that never existed before now add to the growing prosperity of the land. All this has made free China and its people stronger, more able to withstand the threats of foreign aggression. Many consumer products are now in production, both for domestic consumption and for export. They range from electric meters to perfume, from building steel to fine cloth, from brocades to bicycles. The output of her factories reflect a vibrant people, alive to the challenges of the 20th century. The Chinese also have a taste for gracious living that is shown in their faultless hospitality. Now, most Chinese homes have a walled yard or courtyard. They like their privacy. And they know that the less friction they have with their neighbors, the fewer arguments they'll run into. A couple of other old Chinese customs are to take a little present to your host and to remove your shoes when there are slippers waiting. At a real Chinese meal, and on a party like this, there can be 10 or 12 different courses. Whatever you take on your plate, you're expected to eat. So you have to be careful not to take on more than you can handle. Like myself, at first you might find the food to be a little strange. But try it. Go on, try it. You know, it's quite delicious. Whoops. Having difficulty with chopsticks is no great problem. You'll find the hostess understanding and helpful. Well done, son. The sincerity of the island's hospitality extends from personal affairs all the way to state functions, where the Jimo himself frequently entertains. Over 2 million mainland people followed President Chiang Kai Shek when he came in 1949. Many of them were leading citizens of China, scholars, businessmen, and professional people. He continues to serve as an inspirational leader for them in our common struggle. Now, I don't know how many of you have taken a good look at your map lately, but I'm sure if you have, that you have a very good idea of the importance of the location of Taiwan right here. Now, a few years back, General MacArthur said, "In the hands of a power unfriendly to the United States, Taiwan constitutes an enemy salient in the very center of the defense perimeter." Now, this perimeter is a chain of islands extending from the Aleutians up here right down to the Marianas. If this line is held, we may have peace. Lose it, and war is inevitable. Now, under the control of an enemy power, this island fortress could have held strategic control of our shipping and our airlines, both to the north and to the south. Although the United States fleet patrols the Formosa Straits, a major part of the island's defense rests entirely with the reborn military strength of free China. The average age for all troops is 25, and they're sharper than a honed razor. These boys are young, eager, and alert. They train with fine, modern, hard-hitting U.S. hardware. 600,000 well-equipped warriors, 24 first-line combat-ready divisions, trained by American professionals. This is a force to be reckoned with in any international summing up. They're ready for whatever may happen. These are the kind of warriors we're lucky to work with. Our military advisory people are training with the Chinese all over the island. And even though the Chinese troops have the latest equipment, the main thing is that they are dedicated. They want to be the best fighting men in the world. They like Americans and will die to preserve their freedom from communist aggression. They believe in a free China, and they look forward to the day when all China will be free. They've already done a great job in building up their country, and they're not going to give in to any aggressors. I'm proud that we can be their friends. After you have served with these people, Taiwan will never again be just a distant island on the other side of the world. For this is truly an island fortress in the defenses of freedom.